friends, let's talk practical takeaways. Building relationships. Caleb, you were talking you were talking about remembering names and that being a big part. And, I always hear, and I'm totally guilty of it too, but a lot of us say, man, I'm terrible at remembering names. And I've never heard someone ever say, I'm really good at remembering names. So it's extreme intentionality to do that. So kind of let's think practically as we're building relationships with college students, just some practical ways to really help facilitate and kind of grow in those relationships.
I think, so part of it is considering each of these a relationship. It's not just a contact. It's not a person. These are people that I've met. So you meet them and you just be intentional about it. Writing their name down. I punch it in my phone, right? Who is this person? What's their name? Sometimes I describe them, right? So I put a lot of information so that if they ever text me, I can remember who that person is, and it's not new phone who this, it just gives you that that ability. And so, it means a lot. And then the next time you see that person, when you call them by name, they'll notice, because we're not used to that. We're not used to people remembering us, it makes someone feel special. It makes them feel heard and seen. Super valuable.
And I think one of the things, a struggle that I still have, and I definitely had early on, is I'm a pretty task-driven person. And so, even prior to ministry, I was in business, and, people were object to gain. Like, I made money through this person, being in the restaurant business, and then even when it comes to ministry, people can be like, well, this is another notch on the belt as far as the numerical growth. And so, one of the things that I think is so important is valuing that person. But even what you guys write in the book is just the image of God in people, that people aren't objects to gain or to help our ministry look good. These are people who are made in the image of God, who God deeply loves and cares for. And so we ought to remember their name. We ought to build a relationship with them.
I understand those people who want to have a huge campus ministry, huge collegiate ministry. I get that. Yeah. But if you're not faithful with the 2, 3, 5 students that are coming, you're not gonna, you're not ready for bigger. So part of it is just treating these people not like objects, not like assignments, ministry, assignments, but rather you're not my project, you're a person. Yeah. And then I think also being in touch with our own personhood enough to find some common ground to relate over. I don't know, like you think about your hobbies. Is there something that in your life that you're into that you can see some overlap with, say, college students?
Oh, absolutely. I would never say I'm a gamer. I don't actually have a chair, but I love to play Madden, those things like that.
That's the next level.
That's the next level of gamer. But I do love to do that. And I also love business. I love small business. And in fact, with even a lot of the college students that we minister to, they're going there next and they're thinking about that. Yeah. So I could talk about that stuff all day. And of course, I'm in Texas, so football, always a commonality with anybody in Texas. If not, it's kind of hard to find.
That's right. That's right. But the common ground, and I think leaning into that, leaving margin for you to practice your hobby just in your life, so that you do have something in common. Yeah. One thing that comes to mind when I think about relationships, and I want to ask you about this because I think a lot of college ministers, especially church-based ministers, struggle with this. What about relating well to students? I mean, I'm a grown man. I show up on campus. I'm trying to strike up a conversation with a student, or even the male-female thing. When I'm talking to girls, that's weird. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, no, and I think because that's oftentimes what I think, especially if you're here. By the way, if you're even in your late 20s, you are too old for college students. You're dated, you're old. So most of us we're just basically old, and so we're kind of out on being in with college students. So I think one of the things that's very important is here's the thing, and this is true of everybody, but everybody wants to be known, everybody wants to be loved, everybody wants to be cared for, and I think we all have the ability to do that. And in fact, when you look at the American landscape and the destruction of family units and that are fractured. They need consistent adults in their life that will show love and care and help them be known. And I think that is, if you can do that, I mean, college students will absolutely love you. And I would argue this too, is that especially with this age, is if you're going to challenge them with the gospel, you've got to first support them and have that relationship, because that's what's going to give you the currency to say, hey, believe in this and it's going to change you. And then also you need to go and change the world with it. That's what gives you the currency to actually to do that. So building those relationships is absolutely key. And I think the way to do that is to find that commonality, to show love, to show care, and even like you said with women, there is a shortage of female leaders in churches. There's no doubt about that. And a lot of times I think that argument is, well, they need a female leader, and you're absolutely right. They do need that female leader, but we have to develop healthy relationships with opposite sex when it comes to disciple making, because if not, that female's never going to be there, because we're not making a disciple of females. And so we have to think of ways, especially because when you look at the stats, even in Texas, there are more females on a college campus than men. Yeah. So if you don't have a disciple-making strategy for females, you are missing out on probably 60% of your campus. You're just completely cutting off. And so it's essential that we build healthy relationships with people of the opposite sex, learn how to make disciples of everyone. Yeah,
that's true. I think, so much of it too is when I know who I am, then I can be someone to someone else. And so it's like our identity in Christ. And then what's appropriate, setting parameters for appropriate behavior and relationships. And that's found through the accountability of going with others. When you isolate yourself, you end up in awkward situations that are going to go bad. Go together, go in community, and hold each other accountable to right behavior, and making sure that we're modeling, this is how brothers and sisters relate to each other. And then therefore, we're not going to fall into inappropriate behavior and postures. And I feel like so much of collegiate ministry is not holding people at distance, but it's modeling a proper brother, sister, older brother, father, relationship, and then being aware of the relationship baggage that we all have. And so if you're not aware, then the last thing that you need is somebody latching on because they have daddy issues, or you have your own baggage from relationships in the past. So that self-awareness can really be key, and then accountability is vital.
No, that's absolutely true. So, when it comes to, engaging and building these relationships, the most important thing is we're not going to engage in relationships and build these relationships if we don't value people as image bearers of God who deserve to be loved by us and cared for. But also, figure out, hey, what's the commonality? How can I love and care for this person to show them support in a right way? And then how can we build these relationships of both men and women and develop leaders in a healthy way in the church? Because disciple making and sending people on mission begins with that relationship.